In this video, I'm going to review the performance of the trades I made here at Mindful Trader over the last week. This is the week of July the 12th, 2024, and I made both stock trades and option trades, and this week turned out really well. This week, I had 11 wins and no losses out of all the trades that were closed this week. So let's take a look and see what the trades were. This is a list of trades that were closed recently, and so they include the trades from this week, and I'm just going to go down the list and show you the entry and exit on each one and what the chart looked like. So this is Hilton stock, HLT, and let's take a look at what this one looks like. This is a stock chart here for Hilton on my screen, and it shows that I made the trade, and when I post these trades, everybody who's a member of the service can see the trade that I'm posting. So that's one of the key benefits of signing up for Mindful Trader, is that you can see these trades that I'm making and decide for yourself whether you want to follow in my footsteps or not. So this one, it shows I entered at 2:14.23. Now it doesn't show the date that I entered the trade on this particular window. It just shows the date I closed it, but the date I entered the trade was July the 10th, right at the opening bell. That's when I posted it to the website for Mindful Trader. So July the 10th at the opening bell, you could see the entry was right here. I had a buy limit order set up before the market opened, and I set it up based on the watch list that I have here at Mindful Trader. So you can tell right away that I ended up with a good entry. At the moment, in the moment where you're entering the trade, you don't know what's going to happen next. So I didn't know this was going to turn into a big green bar. All I saw, was this prior activity, and at the time I made the entry, I didn't even know what this bar was going to look like yet. So that's not something you know in advance, and that's part of the challenge of trading, right? But I did happen to get a great entry on this particular one. And it shows I exited on July the 12th, which is actually today, at 8:32 a.m. Pacific time. And the exit price was 221.09. And so we can see here, if you look at my cursor, if you look at the price on the right side of the stock chart there, you can see it's right around here, well, somewhere right around here. So essentially, I caught this move right here. Now, after the first day, it was like, wow, this is great. It's going in the right direction. And then you can see things fell backward the next day, and that's normal. It's normal for stocks to do that, to wiggle around, and that's part of the trading experience, is living through the ups and downs, even if it's just while the trade is taking place. So there's ups and downs in terms of trade results, in terms of actual profit and loss that's based on closed trades. And then there's up and down just on the journey on a single trade. And so this one had a nice up, and then it was back down, and then went up again, and it hit the profit target here. I always set profit targets ahead of time on my trades so that the trade manages itself, and I stick to those profit targets like glue. So right after I set up the trade to buy this Hilton stock, I set up a profit target right away, right up here at that price, 221.09. In fact, it shows down here, this was my profit target when I first set up the trade, and this was my exit price. So I set the profit target at 221.09. It was just a simple sell limit order, and it filled on its own once the price got there. So that one worked out well. Let's look at some more here. So this is EQR. I'll pull this up on the screen. And that particular one I entered on July the 5th. And let's just check what the entry price was. 67.31 on July the 5th. And here's July the 5th, and 67.31, it looks like it's right around here. So I got a pretty solid entry when you look at, it kind of bottomed out around here, so the entry ended up being solid. And again, you never know what's going to happen next, but it turned out that was pretty solid. And what it shows is that I ended up with a profit on this one, and my exit price was 69.34 on July the 11th. So July the 11th is this day, and 69.34 is, wow, that is almost right at the tippy top. Wow, that is 1 cent below the high of that day. So, wow, my exit was, wow, that was a really fortunate exit because you see what happened after it hit that. I mean, it got up, the price got up 1 penny past my profit target. And once it hit my profit target, entry here, exit here. And once it hit the profit target, I stopped watching the chart. I was not in the trade anymore. I didn't have any interest in following the stock. And I didn't know, but you can see what happened here. After it hit that profit target, this thing dropped like heavily. So that one ended up getting out right at the right time. And so that one, the winds of luck blew in our favor to some degree there. Sometimes it's just pennies that dictate the outcome of a trade. And if I had had my profit target 2 cents higher, then right now I won't be looking, right now I might be around break even if I were still in this particular position. So that it can be just a few cents that causes a turn of outcomes. What I try to do is I look at the big picture. I know sometimes trades aren't going to go my way. I know sometimes I'm going to have a near miss that could have been big, or one like EQR here where I locked in a victory and there was like some degree of luck involved with how close it was. And so sometimes it's going to go my way like it did on EQR, and sometimes it's not. I try not to get too heavily invested in the outcome of any single trade because I'm looking more at the big picture. It's kind of like a numbers game, an odds game of just do enough of these trades that have a back-tested edge, and over time my hope and expectation is that I would come out with substantial profits. On individual trades, sometimes things don't work out and it could just be a matter of pennies that affects the outcome. It's just the way it is. Okay, let's look at a couple more here. LH. And this particular one, I entered it on July the 3rd, and the entry price was 201.71. So July the 3rd is this date, 201.71. My cursor is about there right now. And you can see out of the gate, this one actually turned out like it was going in the right direction. And this is a good trade to look at because it shows you the wiggle aspect that's involved with a lot of trades. And so you're just sitting there kind of waiting for the trade to elapse, and it's going up. And so if you're kind of carefully watching the trade, you might start to have some feelings of excitement, or feeling positive about the fact it's going in the right direction, and then boom, the hammer comes out, it drops down. So at this point I still was in the position on the stock at this point, and this is down in the dumps. The red came out, but I stuck with the plan. And that's if you were to say, Eric, what's your motto with trading? It's I stick to the plan. Everything I do is based on a rules-based trading setup, and that trading setup was derived from all the statistical research I did. So the bottom line, what was the final outcome? We know it was a win because every trade I took this week ended up with a victory, but it doesn't look like it was a very big one. The exit price was 201.94 at the opening bell on July 11th. And so July 11th was this date. And so basically my entry was right down here, and then I went through kind of a roller coaster, and the end result was right here. So it was technically a profit. I sold it for a little bit higher. I sold it for 201.94 after entering at 201.71, but it's not much more than break even. So that was a small profit on that particular one, and that's how they go sometimes. And this week, as I said, it was a great week as far as a win-loss record, but definitely not all weeks are like that, and it's really important to understand that. There's going to be weeks for sure where I'm going to lose more than I win, where my win-loss record will be below 500, and it's just the way it is. The thought process in my mind is to look at the big picture, and it's about putting up enough numbers over time. So this week was a fun one, but they're not all like this. Okay, now let's see if we can track down some of these option trades here. I'm going to pull in a different window. So these are option trades that I did that closed in the last couple of weeks here, and I'll just go over some of the ones that closed this week. So let's look at WMB first. And that one, the entry for WMB was on July the 9th. and the entry price was 223. That's how much I paid for this particular option. So July the 9th is this date right here. So, I can't pinpoint the exact stock price where I made the entry because this was an option purchase. So I can tell you the exact option price I paid, but I can't tell you exactly where the stock price was, but I can tell you in general it was down in this area. Now, as far as where the exit was on July the 11th, and it was the exit price was 258, and so July the 11th is right here. So the exit was somewhere up in this vicinity. So it captured this move right here. That was a really short-lasting trade. That's the shortest trade that I would do here on an options trade. So it's holding it basically from a Tuesday to the end of a day on Thursday, right before Expiration Friday. This is being filmed today on Expiration Friday. And so this is the move that got captured on that particular one. And so I bought it for 223 and I sold it for 258. So that one gave me a 0.7% return. So it wasn't huge. I didn't hold it for a long time, didn't capture an enormous move, but I did lock in a profit and move the account balance upward on that one. Let's look at some other ones here. How about this next one is ABBV. And that one, I entered the trade back on July the 2nd. And I entered at 640. So let's try to track that one down. So July the 2nd is this date right here. And I remember this one I entered right, at the opening bell. So the entry was probably, it's right around here. So that's where the actual entry took place. And the exit was on July the 11th, right near, kind of close to the end of the trading session that day. And so the exit was right around here. So this is another good example. I mean, look at this. Right after I placed the order, I took heat. Immediately the underlying stock price went down, which means my call option, and I buy in the money call options, my call option value went down along with it. And so, 2 days into the trade, it's looking like this is not a positive situation. This trade is not going where we want it to go. But I have trading rules. With each trade, I stick to my plan, and my plan involves having a profit target in the case of options and having a specified amount of time that I hold the position. And it called for me to hold the position until I either reached a profit target of, 1042, or otherwise until the end of the day on July the 11th. And so July the 11th is right here. And so basically, even though I was taking all this heat, I was sticking to it. I was just allowing the position to breathe and run its course. And in this case, the patience paid off, because by the time it got to the finish line, it was, you can see that the end price is higher than this. And even accounting for the time premium cost associated with buying the option, that piece of the option's value that decays over time, even accounting for that, I ended up with a profit. Okay, let's look at one more. How about STX? So I see STX here, and my entry was on July the 3rd. And so July the 3rd was this date right here. Again, I can't tell you the exact stock price at the time that I made the entry. I can tell you the option price, and the option price that I paid was $5.76 a contract. And so it was on this date, most likely maybe in this area right here, and you could see it started to go up. It wasn't like an abrupt move upward initially. It did go up, but it was kind of, a meandering upward movement, and then it really got the turbo boosters on here on July the 10th. And let's just see how it turned out. STX, it was on July the 10th when I locked in a profit. And you can see here my exit price matches my profit target, which means the way that I exited the position was through the profit target. So I had a profit target. I simply, what I do with options is I set up a sell limit order for the option itself. So once I own the option position, I just go in, set up a sell limit order, and I have tutorials on the site that show exactly how I do this. But I simply sell the contracts for the price indicated using a sell limit order. And that way I don't even have to follow the trade. I don't have to even look at it. I just wait. And if it fills, great. If not, then I close it by the prescribed time limit date. And so that particular one, my options account went up 2.7% in value from that particular trade. So that was a solid victory and had a nice impact on my trade. So those are some of the trades that I took this week. If you have any questions about the service or about any of these trades or about my approach, you can contact me anytime. My email address is Eric, ERIC, @mindfultrader.com.